Can you believe it? The GBU-57, America's $100 billion, 15-year, developed strongest bunker buster in the world, was completely outmatched by Iran's mountains. The most ironic and eye-opening truth of modern warfare was fully exposed during the 2025 to 2026 U.S.-Iran conflict. Top-tier military high-tech was actually defeated by the simplest defensive tactic, digging deep into mountains. Over the past decade, the core game between the United States and Iran was never fighter jet confrontations or naval battles. It was a silent, brutal underground arms race. The United States poured decades of military technology to build the ultimate conventional penetration weapon. Meanwhile, Iran relied on millions of years of natural geological stability and basic mountain excavation to build an almost unbreakable strategic shield. In just 18 months, two massive airstrikes completely overturned our understanding of precision modern warfare. This is not just a simple airstrike battle, it is the ultimate showdown between shovels and bombs, and it reveals the most honest and ruthless underlying logic of national defense competition. Iran's obsession with deep underground nuclear facilities came directly from painful lessons learned from Middle East military history. Since the 1980s, Israel has repeatedly destroyed its enemies' nuclear programs through precise long-range airstrikes. In 1981, Israeli fighter jets launched a low-altitude surprise attack and completely wiped out Iraq's costly Osirak nuclear reactor, ending the country's nuclear ambitions overnight. In 2007, Israel repeated the same tactic and bombed a suspected nuclear reactor in Syria, permanently crushing Syria's nuclear development before it could mature. These two textbook preemptive strikes sent a clear warning to every Middle Eastern country pursuing nuclear technology. Iran reached a decisive conclusion. Any military facility exposed on the surface, no matter how advanced its air defense system or tight its security, will eventually be destroyed by modern precision airstrikes. In addition, Libya's abandonment of its nuclear program, followed by regime collapse, further convinced Iran that diplomatic compromise could never guarantee national security. From that point on, Iran completely restructured its nuclear strategy. It abandoned the traditional single-site nuclear base model and scattered its nuclear research program across multiple hidden locations. Iran moved its most sensitive uranium enrichment program deep into the mountains near Qom, under a top-secret project codenamed Al-Ghadir. Construction quietly began in the early 2000s, fully hidden from global intelligence. It was not until 2009 that Western satellite surveillance finally confirmed the existence of this secret underground nuclear site, known worldwide today as the Fordow fuel enrichment plant. According to official IEA field surveys, Fordow's core enrichment hall is buried 80 to 90 meters underground, covered by nearly 300 feet of solid limestone and reinforced concrete, equivalent to the vertical height of a 25-story building. At its peak, Fordow operated around 2,100 centrifuges, including Iran's advanced IR-6 high-speed models, capable of enriching uranium to 60% purity. That is only a small technical step away from the 90% weapons-grade uranium required to build nuclear warheads. Professional assessments from the Institute for Science and International Security show that with Fordow's production capacity, Iran could convert its existing high-enriched uranium stockpile into material for up to 9 nuclear devices within just a few weeks. For more than a decade, Iranian military engineers calculated and verified the mountain's defensive limits. They came to a firm conclusion: no conventional weapon on Earth could penetrate their natural mountain fortress. Only nuclear strikes could cause irreversible damage. This geological confidence gave Iran overwhelming strategic leverage in international nuclear negotiations for years. Targeting Fordow's seemingly impenetrable mountain fortress, the United States spent 15 years developing and refining the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. This weapon was never designed as a general-purpose bomb. It was purpose-built exclusively to defeat Fordow. The 2003 Iraq War served as a critical turning point for U.S. military research. Old-generation GBU-28 bunker busters proved far too weak against deeply buried Iraqi underground bunkers. They failed to fully destroy core underground facilities and left massive military assets intact after combat. This combat experience warned us military planners that future adversarial threats would be mountain, buried nuclear sites like Fordow, which no existing conventional weapon could neutralize. The U.S. immediately launched its Super Heavy Bunker Buster program. Every technical parameter, structural design, and detonation mechanism was customized based on Fordow's exact geological data, burial depth, and tunnel layout. It was truly a one-target, one-weapon military project. The GBU-57 weighs 30,000 pounds, roughly the same as a full-sized city bus. Its narrow cylindrical body, just over 6 meters long, concentrates massive kinetic energy on a tiny impact surface. Due to its extreme weight and unique aerodynamic shape, only the B-2 stealth bomber can carry this weapon. With a maximum load of 2 bombs per mission stored entirely inside the stealth bay to preserve radar invisibility. During combat, the B-2 releases the bomb at 15,000 meters altitude. Guided by dual GPS and inertial navigation systems, the bomb dives at supersonic speed, exceeding 760 miles per HR at impact. It delivers between 800 and 900 megajoules of kinetic force, equivalent to a full commercial airliner crashing into the ground. But focused on a single tiny point. Unlike conventional contact detonation bombs, the GBU-57 uses a unique depth, delayed fuse. It calculates real-time penetration depth and only detonates after reaching the precise underground target level. Its 2,700 kilograms of high explosives create a localized artificial earthquake deep inside the mountain, destroying tunnels, equipment, and structural foundations entirely. The 15-year development cycle was spent solving extreme engineering trade-offs. If the bomb was too heavy, the B-2 could not complete long range transoceanic missions. If the warhead alloy was too soft, it would shatter on impact with solid rock. If penetration speed was too fast, it would detonate prematurely near the surface. If too slow, it would lose momentum mid-dive. Boeing engineers adjusted nickel, cobalt alloy formulas, nose cone angles, and optimal impact trajectories through thousands of physical tests. The bomb officially entered service in 2011 and received upgraded smart depth fuses between 2020 and 2024 for higher precision. Throughout those 15 years, U.S. intelligence continuously monitored Fordow's mountain excavation, material transportation, and ventilation layout, optimizing the bomb specifically to break Iran's mountain defense system. In June 2025, the United States officially deployed this 15-year masterpiece in Operation Midnight Hammer, launching the longest and largest B-2 stealth bombing mission in U.S. military history. Before the U.S. intervention, Israel had already launched multiple airstrikes against Iranian nuclear and military targets, triggering a 12-day regional conflict. As the conflict stalled, the United States officially joined the war. On the night of the 21st of June to early the 22nd of June, the U.S. military initiated Operation Midnight Hammer on a historic scale. 7 B-2 stealth bombers took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, flying a one-way distance of 12,000 kilometers with multiple aerial refuelings for transcontinental strikes. The mission was supported by over 125 aircraft, including fighter escorts, tankers, electronic warfare jammers, and early warning surveillance planes, forming a complete long-range precision strike system. In total, 14 GBU-57 bunker busters were deployed. 12 were concentrated directly on Fordow's core mountain to destroy Iran's most fortified nuclear facility. The remaining 2 targeted underground sections of Natanz. Meanwhile, the Isfahan nuclear site, with most facilities above ground, was neutralized by Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from submerged U.S. Navy submarines. The U.S. military adopted an extremely clever tactical strategy, exploiting the fatal weakness of deep underground bunkers, ventilation shafts. These shafts connect surface air systems directly to underground enrichment halls, breaking the mountain's structural integrity and creating the weakest defensive point. U.S. bombers deployed a sequential stacked strike tactic. The first bomb fractured and loosened the rock along the shaft path. Subsequent bombs followed the exact same channel, penetrating much deeper through already broken rock instead of undisturbed solid stone. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, later confirmed that the bombs reached speeds over 1,000 feet per second before detonating at the exact 80 to 90 meter underground target layer. To guarantee zero resistance, U.S. electronic warfare units deployed jammers and decoy drones to blind Iran's entire air defense radar network right at the bombing release window. Throughout the massive cross-border operation, Iran's air defense system failed to launch any effective interception, allowing us forces to complete the mission with 0 casualties. Tactically speaking, Operation Midnight Hammer perfectly verified the effectiveness of sequential bunker, busting tactics against medium-depth mountain fortifications, setting a new benchmark for modern underground target strikes. Despite this seemingly flawless tactical victory, a massive intelligence controversy erupted immediately after the strike, creating a year-long post-operation information dilemma involving the U.S. government, international agencies, and Iranian officials. Right after the mission, the White House released an aggressive official statement. President Trump publicly declared that Iran's 3 major nuclear sites had been completely and totally destroyed, The Israeli Atomic Energy Commission and initial CIA assessments backed this conclusion, portraying the 15-year American bunker buster program as a complete strategic success. However, within days, a leaked internal Defense Intelligence Agency battle damage assessment completely overturned the official narrative. The classified report concluded that the airstrike did not fully eliminate Fordow's centrifuges or enriched uranium stockpiles. It only delayed Iran's nuclear progress by several months, not permanently ending the program. The leaked document caused severe internal division within the U.S. defense community. While the White House admitted intelligence uncertainty existed, it strongly rejected the short-term delay conclusion. The CIA conducted an independent multi-source review combining satellite imagery, signal intelligence, and human intelligence, reaching an opposite conclusion: Iran's nuclear program was set back by years, not months. Meanwhile, Iowa EA Director General Rafael Grossi confirmed that most of Fordow's sensitive enrichment equipment was destroyed or disabled. 3 authoritative U.S. institutions delivered conflicting judgments, leaving the strike's real effectiveness completely disputed. Iran's official statement told an entirely different story. Iranian intelligence claimed it had accurately predicted the U.S. strike window. Before Operation Midnight Hammer began, Iran had already evacuated all core centrifuges and 60% high, enriched uranium from Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan to dozens of hidden underground locations nationwide. According to Iran, only surface auxiliary buildings sustained minor damage, while the main underground fortress suffered no irreversible structural harm. Iran also released radiation monitoring data proving zero nuclear contamination around the sites, calming public panic. Most critically, Iran's parliament immediately passed a bill suspending all cooperation with the IAEA, cutting off the world's only official on-site verification channel. For more than a year after the 2025 strike, no independent third party was allowed inside Fordow to inspect the real damage. Every public conclusion worldwide relies solely on satellite imagery, signal analysis, and political statements, leaving the true battle outcome permanently trapped in a geopolitical information black box. Behind this heated controversy lies the most important and underrated rule of modern underground warfare. Defensive mountain digging is always far cheaper than offensive bunker. Buster research and manufacturing, simply put, shovels consistently outperform bombs in cost efficiency. A landmark 2005 U.S. military defense study quantified this critical asymmetric advantage. For a defending nation, adding dozens of meters of extra rock cover requires only basic construction equipment and minimal budget. For an attacking nation, developing a new weapon capable of penetrating that extra depth requires billions of dollars and years of high-tech research. The cost gap can reach 10 times or more. Most audiences overlook a key limitation of the GBU-57's official data. Its advertised penetration depth of 61 meters is tested on standard 5,000 psi reinforced concrete, not real-world hard natural rock. Fordow's limestone, and especially the Yazd Mountains granite, have compressive strength ranging from 25,000 to 40,000 psi, 5 to 8 times tougher than the test standard. High-density natural granite rapidly absorbs and disperses supersonic impact kinetic energy, while extreme friction heat weakens the bomb's alloy warhead, drastically reducing real-world penetration to only a fraction of lab results. Geologically speaking, natural mountain rock forms over tens of millions of years under extreme tectonic pressure. It features stable structure, no material fatigue, and no aging degradation, unlike artificial concrete and steel. Iran fully understood this principle, adopting ancient mountain fortress defense logic for modern nuclear and missile protection at an extremely low cost in the long-term arms race. This asymmetric balance never changes. Every small improvement in offensive penetration requires massive technological breakthroughs and funding. Meanwhile, defenders only need to dig a few extra meters deeper to neutralize new weapon advantages. In this endless game, basic excavation always holds overwhelming cost superiority. In February 2026, the U.S.-Israeli joint campaign's Operation Epic Fury and Operation Roaring Lion completely shattered the GBU-57's invincibility myth, marking a decisive turning point in the shovel versus bomb rivalry. Only 8 months after the Fordow strike, U.S. and Israeli military commanders judged Iran's dispersed long-range missile network posed an existential threat to Israeli territory and U.S. military bases across the Middle East. They launched a full-scale regional war far larger than the previous 12-day nuclear conflict. In the first 12 hours alone, coalition forces executed nearly 900 coordinated strikes and a high-level decapitation operation that eliminated Iran's supreme leader and senior IRGC commanders, dealing the most severe political blow in the Islamic Republic's history. This time, the primary target was no longer a medium-depth limestone nuclear facility. It was Iran's ultra-deep Imam Hussein granite missile city near Yazd, a top-secret underground complex excavated steadily since the 1990s over 20 years of construction. Its vertical depth reaches 1,500 feet, 6 times deeper than Fordow, with multi-layer independent tunnel networks, automated missile transfer systems, and self-sustaining power and ventilation that allow full operational capability without surface support. It houses the majority of Iran's long-range ballistic missile inventory. Both the extreme depth and ultra-hard granite material exceeded the GBU-57's original design limits. At the start of the campaign, U.S. and Israeli forces attempted to replicate the Fordow shaft penetration tactic, bombing ventilation tunnels and entrances continuously. But 40 days of sustained airstrikes proved catastrophic for the bunker busters' reputation. Against massive solid granite, the GBU-57 could only scratch surface rock, failing completely to reach the missile storage chambers hundreds of meters below. Throughout the entire war, Iran's missile launch rate only slightly decreased, but never stopped, with constant strikes targeting Israel and Hormuz Strait shipping lanes. The U.S. superweapons penetration myth was officially broken. Iran also closed the Hormuz Strait during the conflict, triggering global oil price surges and severe regional geopolitical turbulence, creating the most critical watershed in modern underground warfare history. Facing total GBU-57 failure against ultra-deep granite, U.S. and Israeli forces were forced to abandon direct penetration tactics and switch entirely to surface blockade strategies. However, this tactic only achieved short-term suppression and could not permanently eliminate Iran's underground combat capability. Realizing mountain penetration was no longer feasible with existing ordnance, coalition forces shifted all firepower to surface infrastructure. They bombed tunnel entrances, cratered access roads, destroyed power stations, ventilation facilities, and missile assembly workshops, using rubble to block underground exits and disconnect buried missile units from surface launch sites. In the early stage of the conflict, U.S. defense officials released optimistic victory statements, claiming Iran's missile launch infrastructure was decimated and irreplaceable, and that Iranian naval and air defense systems were largely dismantled. But post-ceasefire satellite imagery and independent investigations exposed the truth. Iran's engineering corps deployed bulldozers, loaders, and dump trucks for rapid reconstruction. Out of 69 bombed tunnel entrances, 50 were fully cleared and reopened within just 7 weeks of the ceasefire. By May 2026, 90% of Iran's underground missile bases had restored partial operational status. Iran retained nearly 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile and 75% of mobile launchers. Only surface auxiliary facilities suffered irreversible damage. Military analysts pointed out a critical distinction. Sealing tunnel entrances is completely different from destroying underground military complexes. Surface blockades only create temporary operational obstacles. Cheap civilian engineering equipment easily reverses the damage caused by million-dollar bunker busters, demonstrating the extreme resilience of deep underground defensive systems. These 18 months of consecutive combat deliver the final verdict of this century-long arms rivalry. Advanced military engineering can win tactical battles, but it cannot defeat low-cost deep geological defense. There is no absolute winner between the United States and Iran, and this underground arms race will only continue diving deeper beneath the surface. Tactically, the GBU-57 is not useless. In Fordow's medium-depth limestone environment, the 15-year engineered superweapon achieved substantial destructive results, forcing Iran to suspend IAEA inspections and delaying its nuclear program by 1 to 2 years. Strategically, however, U.S. military weaknesses became fully exposed. Operation Midnight Hammer depleted U.S. GBU-57 stockpiles to only 6 to 15 units, with new deliveries not scheduled until 2028 at the earliest. The replenishment cycle for America's most powerful bunker buster spans years, far too slow for rapid geopolitical confrontation. In contrast, Iran only requires basic construction machinery to continuously deepen its underground facilities, permanently offsetting us weapon advantages. Furthermore, Iran gained massive technical intelligence after the conflict. It recovered multiple unexploded, fully intact GBU-57 bombs and conducted complete reverse engineering on their alloy structures, guidance systems, and delayed fuse mechanisms, accurately mapping the weapon's real-world penetration limits. Using this data, Iran constructed a new top-secret underground site, nicknamed Pickaxe Mountain, specifically excavated beyond the GBU-57's maximum effective depth to establish a new impenetrable defensive layer. This war also proved an unchanging modern warfare rule. Physical buildings can be destroyed, but technical knowledge, professional teams, and pre-evacuated strategic materials can never be eliminated by airstrikes. Carnegie Endowment assessments confirmed that massive airstrikes only delay Iran's nuclear and missile progress temporarily, rather than delivering permanent elimination. As long as digging deeper remains cheaper than building better bombs, the U.S.-Iran underground standoff will never end. The rivalry will simply keep pushing into deeper, harder mountains in an infinite strategic loop. If you learned something new from this epic battle between geology and military technology, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and drop a comment below. Do you think Iran's mountain defense will remain unbeatable forever, or will the United States develop a new superweapon to break this balance?